that are okay, recording has stopped, recording has restarted. So the good news is this is being recorded. This is Tom Panos here with the team today, the team from Repeat and of course Rita, and my normal co-pilot David Bliss is with me. David, how you going?
Mate, doing well. Excited to be here. A couple more weeks till spring. Still in lockdown in Sydney, but hearing great stories from the industry.
Absolutely, and I'm pretty pumped and excited because I know that spring officially starts on September 1, but not if you're a serious pro, not if you're a real estate agent that understands the business of 30-day rule. What I do in this 30 days affects the next 90 days. So in fact, spring has started 10 days ago for you, because right now, I want you to know, and I don't care where you are watching this, right? You might be in lockdown, but guess what? The buyers aren't. The buyers aren't in lockdown. They're out there. They're waiting. And not only that, in most parts of Australia, minus one small part in Melbourne, I know, where you can't actually do a listing presentation and you can't do a property inspection. But guess what? You've got to forget about what you lost and you've got to look at what you've gained. And what have you gained? The good news is, between your CRM system and your phone, you're still working. You can have conversations with people. You can do Zoom presentations. You can do Zoom inspections with people. There's so much you can do. And I hope as you're watching this video, you're not sitting there in your Peter Alexander pajamas in the middle of the day with your Nescafe coffee in your hand, feeling sorry for yourself. It doesn't matter. Daniel Andrews has given you the green light. You can talk to people. Gladys Berejiklian, she's given you the green light. You can talk to people. As for Queensland, the doors are open. You can do whatever you want, except, of course, go to Byron Bay looking for a house. Don't do that unless you've got yourself a COVID test, and unless, of course, you can actually make sure that you're not going to create havoc. So our thoughts are with everyone. Now, David, today we've got a few other people with us. Because it integrates with what we're talking about. So I might just get over you to actually just let us know who's here today and what role they play.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's great to have the likes of Tristan on, representing Rita, being a really good partner of Agent Box, and they integrate very, very closely together. And we've got Ben from Agent Point, another member of our Repeat family. And what I was just thinking of then, Tom, was that the purpose of this call and this webinar was to focus on how all these systems can work together, how you can get more opportunities. But as I was listening to you just then, I was thinking, well, if people are feeling the pains of lockdown and they are feeling that they can't get out there, what the likes of Rita is going to do and what Proposal Point are going to do is not only help you identify those, there's still little gold nuggets out there, right? You've just got to hunt a little bit more for them. There might not be quite so many vendors out there, but there are people coming to the market. You've just got to be a little bit more careful in your digging. So that data is going to be in Agent Box. It's going to be in your CRM. Rita's going to help you find it. Proposal Point's going to help you convert it. So I think this is a great example of how integrated systems can work seamlessly, but I think it's really, really topical for what we need right now, which is hunting for those bits of gold. Because you said, there's lots of buyers out there. People are buying homes. It's just about finding those ones that want to sell. And that's what we're going to do today.
100%. And I'm so pumped and excited today because I want to remind people, there's a great saying, never waste a crisis. And there's also another saying that I live by, and that is some of the best gifts in life come badly wrapped. What's the gift that we've got at the moment? You've got a captive audience. They're not in the CBD at their offices. They're not rushing to pick up their kids and take their kids to school. for many parts of Australia, you've got people that are sitting, ready, willing, and able to have a conversation with an agent. And more than ever, I've got to let you know, there are people now that you can speak to that you never could speak to before. I mean, the people are actually sick and tired of homeschooling. So when they get a real estate agent ringing them up, they actually look forward to having an adult conversation. But guys, the one thing that I want to push today is there's this thing called COVID clarity. And COVID clarity says that people now are getting clear in their minds about how they feel about their home. And in fact, I would say to every real estate agent right now, if you want to start getting your spring launch list ready, correct, you need a spring launch list. You need a list of people that you can launch onto the market in spring. One of the things that you should be doing is ringing them up and saying, hi, it's Tom Panos here from the real estate. I want to let you know, for us, it's business as usual in an unusual way. It's a beautiful sentence to start off with. It's business as usual in an unusual way. Can I ask you, how has 440 days of COVID-19 impacted how you feel about your current home? And are you living in your dream home? A beautiful sentence, guys, because I've got to tell you, most people aren't living in their dream home. And what you'll notice is that this is a great opening question that moves you in to help you understand where are they in the buying and selling process. Also, for many of you, a welfare call is going to give you a lot of points in the equity stakes. And that is ringing someone up. Hey, Ben, it's Tom Panos here from the real estate. Firstly, I want to apologize. I should have been in touch earlier. Secondly, I want to ask you, is there any help I can give you at this time? This question has no commission breath. It's understanding that we're in crazy times, but it also sort of says, hey, I'm still working. I'm still around. And I want you to understand right here, right now, as I give you one of my biggest tips of all, get your vendors on the market sooner rather than later. Be very careful. You have an obligation to tell your clients you want them on the market in isolation and not in the competition of the spring blitz. Let's face it, we're going to have a heap of stock that's going to hit the market at the one time. That's not a good thing for your vendors because all of a sudden they're selling in competition and not selling in isolation. As far as I'm concerned, you need to fast track your sellers onto the market. How do you fast track your sellers onto the market? By letting them know this, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want you to understand most of our smart vendors are actually racing to the market because they'd rather sell in isolation than sell in competition. And you know what? If they sell in isolation, they sell high. And then what they do is they don't sell in competition. No, they buy in competition. All these other sellers on the market, they've sold so they can buy later on in spring, even in December, and they're going to buy really well. So what I'd like to say to you, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, is how do we make you a buyer in late spring? By making you a seller now. And even if you've got to say to them, because I get it, there's a lot of people that are paranoid about this whole thing with COVID. They're also paranoid about selling at a time when you can't do opens or whether you can't do an on-site auction. Hey, listen, I've got to say to you, right here, right now, you can make it easier for your vendors by sort of saying, listen, we don't have to launch, we just list now. I'm going to say that again, guys and girls. We don't have to launch. Our strategy is list now, launch later, which essentially means that I'm not going to have the whole suburb coming into your home. No, we're not going to put your family at risk. What we do is this. We've got buyers that are thoroughly qualified. They're asked, are you in a position to sign a contract today? If they give us the green light, then we ensure that they have done everything they can to not be breaking the laws of any public health order. And then what we do is when we show them the property, we ensure that we're practicing total COVID safety, which means that they go in through the property, they're on their own, they don't touch anything, and then we continue our conversation outside of the property. And in addition to that, Mr. and Mrs. Vendel, I'd like to put you at ease and let you know, if this has happened, that I'm vaccinated and that I'm getting updated COVID tests to put you at ease. Guys and girls, this is what the Smart Brigade are doing at the moment. They're making it easy for buyers and sellers to do business. So, couple of other things, and then I'm going to hand over to Tristan from Rita, and I've got to tell you, I adore this product. And the reason I adore it is it gets rid of the biggest problems I see in real estate, and that is prospecting. We all hate it. I get it. I understand it, right? Who wants to wake up and interrupt people that don't want to talk to you? I understand that. I'd rather be doing a listing presentation, or I'd rather be doing an auction, or I'd rather be doing a second buyer inspection, or I'd rather be putting a soul buy up. There's so many other things I'd rather be doing. But I'm telling you now straight, prospecting is the oxygen of your business. Prospecting is the price you pay to have a magnificent life. But a lot of people suck at prospecting. And the reason they suck at prospecting is they set themselves up for failure. They don't know who to call. They don't know what to say. And in addition to that, it just becomes all too hard because they haven't even got a list of people to be contacting. So I'm going to let you know what Rita does brilliantly is help you work out who's my high probability people and what do I say to them. Don't get me wrong, Rita still makes the calls. Sorry, Rita, I wish it did. I wish it did.
It always does, Tom.
Well, and Tristan, I know that it does probably the next best thing to making a call, and you're going to touch on it, right?
Yeah.
But I've got to say to you, if you're not in the right mindset, I hope I've woken you up and informed you. Right now, there's a lot you can do. So you've got to forget about what you've lost and you've got to look at what you gained. You've got to forget about your difficulties and you've got to focus on your progress. And you've got to stop. You've got to stop for a moment about forgetting about commission breath, and you've got to start being a value-added provider. Do more, give more, show more. And don't forget, all you're trying to do at the moment is create a fine day every day. And what does that day look like? Wake up, get your exercise done, come back, start hitting your phones till 12 o'clock, call. And then hopefully these calls create some opportunities that you might be able to do a listing presentation and hopefully sign it up. And that's where Ben comes into it. Because once you get to that stage, we then make it easy for people to do business with you in a world that says, I don't want to see you, right? I don't want to see you right now. But Tristan, can I hand over to you, and can you just explain a little bit to the people that don't know about Rita, how it can actually help them get more listings and make more sales?
Fantastic. No, great advice, Tom. Excellent advice to the audience here. And essentially, like what Tom was saying, is Rita solves that problem of wondering, well, who do I call? You might have, like, especially with AgentBox clients, they've got thousands and thousands of people in their database, from people coming to inspections and buyers and past appraisals, for example, and past sales, of course, past clients. So where do you start if you're an agent with like several thousand contacts? Yeah. So what I do know, and the feedback I'm getting from a lot of agents, is that they certainly know the people that really want to sell right now, and they've got that under control. But what about all the people they're not calling? Could be thousands of people in their database, which they don't know where to start, okay? And like you're saying, Tom, like they don't know what to say. So essentially what we have now is Rita the robot is synchronizing with your CRM, okay, like AgentBox, and it's progressively prioritizing those people every single day and reaching out to them by SMS conversation. And that's the beautiful strategy which we're seeing work extremely well. I just spoke to an agency of one of our clients just before this, actually, and the feedback they were getting was that Rita's sending out like 20 SMSs, and amazing result they're getting is 1 in 5 people responding, and they're getting like several appraisal opportunities every day. And that's a game changer, Tom, right? So we're taking away that huge challenge of calling 100 people to maybe get 3 appraisals. the phone calls have transitioned from an unknown to a certainty that these people, these 4 people that responded to a Rita SMS, have a conversation with our Rita robot, that they actually do want to talk to me. And we uncovered a ripper this morning, whereby someone responded, right? And they said, in fact, I've got 3 apartments in this block that I'm actually, the exact words, we're willing to sell these 3 apartments in one block. That's from one SMS conversation without the agent doing anything. So guys, it's consistency, isn't it, Tom?
So Tristan, I want to talk to you about very briefly about this text messaging, right? I'm obsessed with text messaging. In fact, I've got to tell you, I find that texting to me is the best way for me to communicate with the people I communicate. It's weird because a lot of people say, but Tommy, you always talk about pick up the phone. I think phone is the best. And I think it's better than even door knocking, because in terms of efficiencies and return on time on investment, phone, you're going to get through so many people. But I also know that after a phone, the next best thing is a text message, right? It's better than an email, right? Right? And we know that people get far less spam on text than what they do in email. But what you're saying, Tristan, is that the text messaging is allowing you to actually put people through a funnel, and all of a sudden they identify themselves, they expose themselves and say, hey, I'm high probability. Talk to me, to you, right?
On their time though, Tom, that's a really good distinction. If you sit down for an hour and try and call like 40 people, it's on your time. That suits you. What we're seeing is people responding hours later, if not the next day.
Can I ask you, from what you've seen, a good text message that elicits a bit of a response, what are some of the text messages you've seen that have been, and I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot because—
Oh, fantastic, I love it.
Yeah. So give, what kind of text messages and to what people?
So I'll give 2 examples, okay? So for example, we have Rita focusing on people in a certain suburb. So an agent might have 500 people who they've got mobile numbers for a certain suburb, okay? And if they have addresses, then Rita can actually focus on, she'll select the best 20 people, for example, on that day, and say, well, for each one of these people, let's find a listing. She's got full integration with REA and domain, okay? So she'll say, this person lives on 25 Smith Street, but a listing's been sold down the road at 10 Smith Street. So Rita will automatically have a conversation about that and say, hey, just letting you know that 10 Smith Street's just been sold around the corner. The market's super hot right now. Would you like an updated evaluation on what your property can obtain on this current market? Regards, Tom. And
okay. So can I ask, the way it's done, you send the text messages, just to help me understand the mechanics. The text messages are coming out of a special platform, is it?
Yes, from Rita, correct.
From Rita, and you type the text message on your laptop or desktop, right?
So you don't have to. The whole thing is that everything Rita does is automation. It's all about automation and having less effort to achieve the results, right? So we configure Rita for the agent, okay? So the agent does nothing. Actually, all the agent has to do is wake up in the morning, they review the 20 people, and they might skip 1 or 2 because they may have spoken to them, okay, in the past week or so. So you can skip 1 or 2 to have some control over the process, and then you let Rita do all the rest. So all they do is get notified as conversations complete during the day, and then they click on a button and they go to call that person. They see the full conversation, and everything Rita does goes back into the CRM.
And the great news is, Tristan, is that I can speak from a position of strength and authority. I have clients that use Rita and use AgentBox, they're integrated, and they rave about it. I'll throw a few names. Harris Real Estate in South Australia, Phil Harris and the great team, right? Kaloshi, right?
No
$30 million commission a year. Do you hear me, gang? $30 million in commission a year, Kaloshi. Then we swing around. A lot of them are McGrath businesses. What other offices, Tristan, do you know are users of the system? C21 are very big embracers of it, aren't they?
Yeah, well, we're doing a rollout nationally to every office right now. That's just one of the first, big sort of rollouts for this type of technology. Another person of note is, of course, Morton. They're a great company. We've also got Novak. Yeah, they're
Oh,
another.
Novak's too.
Yeah, Novak's awesome. Yeah.
Man, I've been telling about it for ages.
I know, they listen to you, Tom.
Man, I've been telling about it for ages. And by the way, I told the client, I'll never forget it. 3 years ago, I got hired by the Novaks. 3 years ago, I walked in and Lisa said to me,
Yeah.
you know what, Tom, I want to move from running the office. I want to be a salesperson. Gang, Lisa Novak, last 12 months did $2.5 million in fees in 3 years, going from non-salesperson to salesperson. But I've got to tell you, Tristan, I reckon they epitomise high-tech, high-touch.
Yeah,
They
really
do
cool.
the sales work, but they've got the crazy scientist, Mark Novak, there.
Yes, Mark's
Crazy
awesome.
scientist who really, really should have actually been born in Silicon Valley, right? He wants to be there, but he's a repressed techie, right, in a real estate office in the Northern Beaches. But you've got some amazing clients. But, you know, is there anything else you want to add before we move on to Ben and talk about where he sits in the jigsaw puzzle?
Oh, mate, I think it's an absolute natural progression, because what Red is going to do is give you amazing opportunities, okay, and basically what people are saying, they want appraisal, right? So what's the next thing? You got to send them something. And so you want to minimize the time it takes for you to send them something of value. And so what Ben has is something fantastic, whereby, you know, you can easily send them an evaluation of their home, a proposal, all right, which they have full tracking ability. So you actually really on the pulse of where they're at, because everyone's on a different time frame, right? So let's hand it over to Ben and hear how, you know, Proposal Point can really facilitate and really work and you know, maximize the opportunity with that, you know, what Ready can give you.
Beautiful. So Ben, over to you. And I just want to recap. Obviously, you know me because I'm always with Agent Box. Repeat, which is the company above Agent Box, has got Agent. They're David. They're a massive organisation, right? They're in the UK.
Yep, absolutely. I'm excited to have Agent Point and their product Proposal Point within our family as well, because of course we always work with lots of third-party integrators. You know, Rita's a great example of those, but to have someone like Proposal Point within our stable allows us to provide our clients with a really, really broad range of products, not just the CRM itself. So we actually use Proposal Point ourselves when we're prospecting to clients. It's that good.
And in a minute, Ben, I'm going to get you to unmute and going to let you know that, you know, on Saturday, I was in a situation, a property, I'll even tell you the address here, because I was sitting there. So the address of the property was 38 Chisholm Street, Belfield. Goes to auction, Zoom auction, right? Property gets sold, right? Get a phone call from the agent. He says, Tom, the vendor won't come and sign the contract. I said, what do you mean they won't come and sign the contract? Mate, they're not signing the contract. They don't want to be near people. It's inconvenient. We need to get this contract signed. I said, go off and see the vendors. He goes, mate, won't work that way. Doesn't want to see anyone. Blah, blah, blah. He says, you've got to sign the contract. I said, well, mate, listen, I don't want to come into the centre of Canterbury Bankstown. At the moment is the hot spot. I said, I'm not in the mood to come there either. Anyway, bottom line is, I was thinking to myself, man, here's the perfect time, signing on glass. That's what we need. And I know that's another thing, Ben, that you guys do. And it's needed right now, whether you're signing a buyer, whether you're signing a vendor, whether you're signing a lease, whether you're signing a reserve price. But Ben, over to you.
Thanks, Tom. And great words too from Tristan. It really does, I guess, in these times require something that can be sent out very quickly and easily, that is on brand, and it may even have different messaging. So the Proposal Point software system allows for agents to send proposals, digital proposals of many different types, from pre-list kits to full sales proposals, property management versions that can be done in minutes, not days, sent via email from the Agent Box system. It can actually tag into the Agent Box system and pull in all of the data that they need for their team sales and begin that journey in Agent Box. In under 5 to 10 minutes, a full sales proposal can be sent via email a link, not a PDF, and then opened and then tracked through our system. You can see where they've been on the brochure, how many times the brochure has been opened, and getting real world information on where your clients are at. And as Tristan said, you've worked hard to uncover them. This is the next stage to see what their thought process is. Are they sharing it with friends and family? And to your point before too, Tom, do they use DocuSign or real-time agent? Do they want to use that to get their vendors to sign, even if they're not in the room? We can make that happen and get people in touch and hopefully on board to sell before spring. And that is the beauty of the software. It's always on brand. You can send more proposals. I was talking to an agent the other day. He takes an hour, the old school method, to build a proposal, even longer. And he's doing 14 appraisals a week. Crazy. We're cutting that down to 8 minutes for him. So he's going to send more versions out. He's going to send more pre-list kits out to everyone in his database.
Who do you
market to them?
Ben? Who do you integrate with?
So we integrate with AgentBox, CoreLogic, Pricefinder, PDOL for data. For digital signing, we have HelloSign, DocuSign, and Real-Time Agent. And then for testimonials, we integrate with Open and also Rate My Agent. So they're the main integrations that we have. But we're seeing overwhelmingly, because people have done amazing work in the last 2 years, clients uploading their best case studies and social proof, and then from a simple tick box, pulling those into the proposal at any one time within seconds, showing off their best work.
And can I just confirm, Ben, you also build websites, is that right?
Yes, we do. We build anything from template websites all the way up to some of the best custom sites you'll see in the Australian market.
Yeah, and you know, this is for another day, but I'm beginning to see, and I see it with a lot of the top agents that work within brands, and I don't want the networks to jump on me saying, oh, you know, we don't want you doing it. I think, you know, there are salespeople out there now that also, they work in big brands, but they also create their own little microsite, right? Which basically becomes this electronic, let's just call it this electronic platform that they've got, you know, all their testimonials, all their reviews, they've got all their information, it integrates with their social media, and it still means that within the brand, but what they're basically doing is just giving this one point where you can get all this information. And I've got to say to you, we're in an incredible environment, guys. Everyone that's watching this right now, I'm telling you, if you don't like change, you're going to hate extinction. Understand that, right? And I'm not talking about technology. I'm not talking about technology here actually substituting you. I'm talking about technology complementing you to allow you to create scale, to allow you to actually do things in 5 minutes, not 3 days, as Ben saying. I mean, you know, like what about, I don't know what the feeling's like, right? I know what the feeling's like. Mate, you go to a listing presentation, you have a look at it, the owner says, yeah, mate, send us your stuff. You come back to the office. Shit, okay, what have I got here? Oh, shit, I've got to go to this buyer appointment. I go to the buyer appointment. What have I got here? Oh, shit, I've got a photo shoot here. I've got to go to this photo shoot. In the back of your head, you keep thinking, oh, I said I'd get them back a proposal. I get them back a proposal, right? Hasn't been done. Next thing you know is your PA rings you up. Oh, I can't come to work. I'm in an LGA area. I can't come in. I'm really sorry. Okay, shit, okay, we've got this problem there. While that's going on, you're thinking, man, okay, I've got to get this proposal out, right? But guess what? You can't. You've got a listing presentation you've got to go to. So you go to this other listing presentation. 24 hours goes by. They're sitting, these vendors are sitting there and they're thinking to themselves, hang on a second. I press one button and I have food delivered to my house in 30 minutes, right? And all I want to do is just find out about this proposal, right? And I've got to say, Ben, it pisses salespeople off because salespeople just want to be doing deals. They hate the admin. So anything that speeds up the process, and I believe digital proposals, my friend, digital proposals have to become the norm in real estate, right? Apart from them looking great, apart from them being low cost, the most important thing to me is speed is the new currency in real estate, and fast beats big any day of the week.
Can I add to that?
Tristan, and just
someone,
yeah, you go.
Someone using Proposal Point, right? There's a story. So essentially, they're sending out proposals like every day. And what they really love is the fact that it could be 3 months later, right? And suddenly they get a notification that someone has opened their proposal, right? So this person, that they got a notification, and literally the next day, because they're the only agent that followed up. Other agents had, it's off their radar. And they went and listened that next day after the notification. Okay. So that's a real game changer for a lot of agents.
Yeah, and those particular anecdotes are from agents that may have lost a deal fair and square, and the property doesn't make it to the market. And then, as Tristan said, they're getting that open again and got that intel. The vendor says, "Oh my gosh, your timing is amazing." Well, of course it is. I've seen you've opened it 5 times in one day. So they love that feature. And to your Tom, my last point will be, put it chock full of information all about you, because as you said, they have got time to consume that. They will read your case studies. They will read everything about you, researching you and checking on you. The more you can put into that brochure, the better. Yes, sales are good and we've got all the data points. That's amazing. But we also have these case study modules that people are using, that social proof, references, testimonials, case studies are critical.
Beautiful. Now,
Thanks,
poor old David hasn't said much today at all. You know, normally David and I are flying the plane together, right? He's chiming in and he's been sitting there quietly. David, mate, let's wrap up with you. And by the way, I have to say, I want to remind everyone right here, right now, there are 2 non-negotiables. You can't let go of these things right now, right? And that is, you keep making sure that you stick with your CRM system and you stick with your mobile phone, because I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're sitting in quarantine. I don't care if you're sitting in a chemo ward. I've done it. I can tell you that. I've sat in a chemo ward and I've had my phone and I've made calls. Why? Because you've got to do something with your damn time, right? Or otherwise you'll get bored, right? So the end of the day is, I've got to tell you right now in the marketplace, if you got a desk, if you got a phone, and you got a few people to call, you're in business. The world's in chaos. You don't have to be. David, over to you.
That's the most poignant point out of all of this, is that, you know, the CRM in your database is what is going to get businesses through this. It's going to be nurturing the clients they already have, because they'll be the ones that'll be there when all of this kind of ends. But to be honest, it's actually been really enjoyable, me just sitting here in the background, because what we have here is a great example of individual companies working together to service the industry. We all help out in different points of the entire sales process, whether it be prospecting or the listing or the sale. And, you know, there'll be plenty more companies we'll be able to work with on this. But exactly as you said, we're all here working together to complement what you guys already do, to magnify the behaviors that you already do. And if we go back 20 years, you used to go take your photos on your film camera, you'd waste all your time, you'd go down to the local shop, get them printed, go waste all your time putting them on in your display windows and all of that. That's no different to where we are right now with an example like Proposal Point, where you don't have to bundle up a box and bits of paper and then waste all your time driving down there. This stuff is live. And not only that, you get all of these other benefits and things as well. So it's really nice to have all of these companies work together, because AgentBox sits at the center. We're the data point. We've got all the nice clean data at the center. We enable all these things to work together. But it's a really good representation of the prop tech industry as a whole in Australia, where companies like us are all here, and our entire goal is to help the industry list and sell more property. So it's great to, you know, just not just have me here, but showcase some of the other people we work with.
Okay, gang, to all our lovely audience, thanks for joining us in today. Never forget, learning is earning. You guys put in 35 minutes of your time today to actually get exposed to what is it that you can be doing now to give you a bit of a competitive advantage. Or for many of you that are actually on that pajama slope, maybe this was the nudge, to actually help you actually understand, look, there is things you can do. And as I say to people, always forget about your events and always focus on your response. You're the product, you're the solution. Work on yourself, harder on yourself than the job. You are the job. Right now in this marketplace, you've got to be mentally and physically fit, because I'm telling you, this is an opportunity to grow your market share. You've got competitors there now that are getting psyched out. They're mentally devastated. Equip yourself. Go off and explore these products. It's not hard to do. Press Google. You put the brands there. We don't have to give you numbers. You Google everything, right? It's all there. Anyway, gang, stay safe. Tristan, David, Ben, thank you so much. Thank you to our wonderful audience that joined in. Signing off.
Thank you, Tom.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone.